Good day and welcome back to another DB Legends video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the Ultra Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black. And we're going to see just how good he is in DB Legends. And yeah, try him out in a bit of PvP. So he is a melee type, Future Trunks Saga. He's Saiyan, Future God Key, Super Saiyan Rose, and powerful opponent. His Ultra ability is if this character is the leader, he applies the following effects to self when the battle starts. He has plus 30% to damage inflicted, plus 30% to key recovery. If he's not the leader, he will gain 5% damage inflicted and 5% key recovery per tag future battle support member when the battle starts. Only up to 3 support battle members will be counted. In terms of his abilities, pretty interesting stuff. So obviously in terms of his ultimate skill, in terms of his main ability, so he's got quite a few things going on. His ultimate skill, he deals supreme slice damage. He applies the following effects to self upon activation, plus 20% to ultimate damage inflicted, and applies attribute upgrade, minus 30% to enemy sustained damage CUT effects for 3 timer counts. He also nullifies the enemy's restores health when it reaches 0 effects for 3 timer counts as well. His special move is Blade of Violent God, and with this special move he deals massive slice damage. The following effects will also occur upon activation. Plus 15% to special move damage, cancels enemy buff effects. The following effects will occur on hit as well. He inflicts all enemies with attribute downgrades plus 20% to damage received. And he inflicts all enemies with attribute downgrade plus 10 to all arts card costs. He has a 100% chance to inflict heavy bleed, a 100% chance to inflict strong poison, and 40% chance to inflict paralysis, which is all really good. His main ability, My Might will be unrivaled, is that he draws his ultimate card next. He restores his own health by 30% and his ki by 40%. He cancels his own attribute downgrades, nullifies unfavorable element factors for 20 timer counts, and inflicts all enemies with attribute downgrade minus 30% to health restoration, which is pretty good. His special skill is Symbol of Fury, which randomly destroys one of your own cards and draws a strike or special move arts card next. He also restores his own ki by 50, has plus 20% to damage inflicted for 15 timer counts, and randomly destroys 2 enemy cards. He'll also apply the following effects to self if his own health is 50% or below. Restore his own health by 25% and charge his own unique active gauge by 10%. So, pretty cool stuff. He's a tag future, tag powerful opponents buffer who covers strike damage and ultimate and defense. He also increases ultimate damage as well. So overall he looks pretty interesting in that regard. The following effects will occur when battle starts for him, with his 2 unique passives, plus 120% to damage inflicted, plus 20% to strike damage inflicted, damage reduction of 65%, and minus 10 to strike arts costs. He will also inflict all enemies with the attribute downgrade, plus 10% to damage received 3 times. The following effects will occur if his own health is 50% or below when he enters the battlefield. He'll draw a special arts card next, he'll destroy 3 enemy cards, he'll seal all the enemy's main abilities, he applies the following effect to himself when faced with an enemy, restoration of health by 5% and restores his ki by 25%. He will also increase his arts card draw card speed by 1 level for 10 timer counts. The following effect will occur every time he uses a strike, special move or ultimate arts card when the enemy is inflicted with an abnormal condition, plus 5% to damage inflicted, and he will also apply the attribute downgrade, 5% to enemy sustained CUT effects to self. He also reduces the enemy ki by 30 and seals the enemy's special move arts cards costs as well. He also, basically has a knockback. If a move is performed against him, he will perform, or a strike arts move is performed, he will knock back the enemy to long range. And he will charge his own unique gauge for every arts card that he used. When the unique gauge is full, he will restore his health by 25%, plus 70% key recovery, and he will nullify the ability for the enemy to have cover change for 15 timer counts. His own unique gauge will reset to 0 and apply the following effects if you use a strike art when the gauge is full. He will draw the ultimate art card, Dancing Slash of Heavenly Annihilation, restore his ki by 60, and restore his vanishing gauge by 100%. When changing cover, he will nullify unfavorable elements, randomly destroy one card, inflict the enemy with the attribute downgrade -1 to art card draw speed, seal all their main abilities, and when the attack is over, he'll gain 20% to damage inflicted, 30% to next strike attack, reduce the enemy ki, and reduce their Dragon Balls. So there's a lot going on. A lot of his kit is dependent on quite a few things. He's obviously got a very interesting mechanic in regards to status conditions on the opposition enemy. So because of that, hitting a special move is quite important. His special move gives you 3 status conditions, or 2 guaranteed and 1 status condition at 40%. And if you can hit them with your special move or hit them with your strike arts, which will cause bleed, you'll then be able to trigger the part of his passive which allows you to increase his damage done, which is quite important because this is very, very good. Also, the key reduction that will occur is very good. The sealing of the enemy's art cards are very good. And so this kind of prevents them from exploding you. If you can keep this pressure up, it can become very formidable. Not to mention if you do it after you pop in, or if you're below 50% health, or after you use the main arts ability, you actually also seal their main abilities as well. So between that and sealing their special moves, you really don't give them a lot to work with. Obviously, on top of that is the fact that he has his unique gauge. And with his unique gauge, if you manage to get his unique gauge to full, not only will he heal, which is very helpful, but he will also restore his vanishing gauge by 100%, which is also really good when he uses a strike card. He's also one of the few units that can get up to 3 copies of his ultimate move, Dancing Slash of Heavenly Annihilation, because you can draw 1 from the main ability, and then when he hits the opponent twice while his unique gauge is active, he can actually pull this move again. And this is pretty important because there's quite a few units now that nullify or that have health restoration at 0. So the ability to nullify this is actually really big and quite important, because essentially what it does is it kind of amounts to, you know, being able to constantly apply pressure to the opposition and them never truly being safe from, you know, the ability for them to be exploded, which doesn't sound like a lot, but honestly speaking is pretty important, just thinking about it. So yeah, it is quite interesting, I would say, in terms of like the overall functionality of the team and of how he works. Not to mention, if you're using him on the Goku Black team, there's plenty of status conditions that could come from elsewhere. So honestly speaking, it is pretty interesting. I think he's a unit that it's not quite like Beast Gohan, right? He's got a lot of nullification of element factors, which obviously makes him quite strong. He's got a lot of, you know, really good cover change mechanics. He's got nullification of element factors in his favor. He destroys cards. He restores ki. He increases card draw speed. There is a lot that he does that is definitely reciprocal to, you know, to Gohan or Beast Gohan, but he's a little bit trickier to manage. It's not just switch in and hit ultimates, although you can do that in certain cases, but he definitely has a little bit more going on with his kit and his functionality, because there's a lot of, you know, especially when it comes to the abnormal conditions, making sure that you know, apply his cards at the right time for his you know, for his you know, overall capabilities. He needs to obviously maneuver and kind of move past getting strikes and things like that. So I think overall his kit has a bit more balance to it than Beast Gohan. I think Beast Gohan's simplicity was obviously a very big thing into how he kind of worked as a unit. So I think, you know, when you look at like Beast Gohan Rose is definitely harder to use, but I think in general he's potentially a little bit more viable as an option overall because of that. I think also he provides a lot to the team. Paralysis is good. Sickness or illness, poison, whatever it's called. Poison, sickness, illness. Yeah, the poison is good. Paralysis is good. Bleed is also good. These things could be a bit stronger, I think. But he's also got a strong team around him. Blue Zamasu is really in a good position nowadays. Zenkai Purple Super Saiyan Rose is very, very good. LF. Both were very solid additions to the team and kind of a revamping of the team. So I think overall you have some units to play with and kind of make his team work. His future's always getting buffs all the time. And you can easily mix and match him with a couple Trunks units and things like that. They have good synergy and crossover. And obviously there's the big boost that's coming from the Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta as well, who obviously helps out in terms of a God Key team. So yeah, you've got a lot of nice options, even some Zenkai boost options. So yeah, I think overall it's really, really good stuff. And I think in general they look really solid and they function really, really well. So I think for me, when I look at Super Saiyan Rose and everything about him and how he performs, I think I'm pretty happy with where he exists as a unit. I think he's a player or a unit that a lot of players are going to have, need the difficulty to master. Like there's a skill gap or a skill cap there, which I think is really, really good, and I think a lot of players will enjoy. There is that kind of notion to him. And then there is also obviously that ability to essentially, like, how can I say, there's also that ability to really get good results from him if you do manage to master how to make him work. So I think overall he sits in a very, very, very good position as a unit. So yeah, I for one am rather happy with the overall performance of Super Saiyan Rose. He's great for me. I have a great Goku Black team, and the Super Saiyan Rose tag that everyone talks about has definitely got a very big buff, and I think overall it's a really, really good, really strong kind of team to run, and I enjoy it. I think he's got an interesting playstyle. You can definitely just kind of use him as raw power if you want to, but I think there's definitely a fine line between just kind of playing very basic with him and playing very well with him, which I think is something that's good for a lot of people. I think when you have units like that can still do well for even the most basic players like myself, but that also can do well for even the more advanced players. I think that's always the sign of a well constructed unit for me. I personally find that it's not always about being instantly on top or constantly like having easy to use units. Those units are fun and they're great, units like Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta and things like that, but it is just one of those things. I think it's good that we have units that have a mixture of skill cap and of variety in their gameplay or mechanisms in their gameplay that separate them from being just really good raw power units and being units that have a little bit more about them. But yeah, obviously that's from me. I think you guys can let me know what you think, but I think he's in a really good spot and I enjoyed using him a lot. In terms of equipment, I think I've got pretty good equipment on him. I do think this is the best way to go. Obviously everyone will have their own opinion on what they want to do in terms of equipment, but I think this is definitely the best. For me overall, I think it's probably my favorite, especially with a God Key kind of team build. I think it's probably the best, at least for me. But yeah, that's gonna be it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, and of course I'll see you guys next time. Till then, bye.